Good evening, and welcome along to the big show here on NVTV. Coming up on the show tonight, I'll be chatting to singer-songwriter Sarah McQuaid, who will also be performing live in the studio. The leading ladies will also be with us. We'll be chatting about the Beatles to award-winning photographer Michael Donald. And from E4's Body Fixers show, we'll be talking cosmetic surgery with Dr. Nina Bal. But starting us off on the show this evening, we're going to be talking about the Eurovision Song Contest. Yes, it's that time of year. Eurovision final takes place on the 14th of May, and Robin Scott is a Eurovision expert who's been to the contest final every year since 1995, but he's not going to be there this year. We'll find out why, because Robin Scott joins us in the studio. How are you?
I have mixed emotions. I think the fact that this has been part of my life, for better or worse, and it's a changed beast, so maybe am I getting too old for it?
You're not yourself this year, because usually when you come in and sit there, you're all excited and you're ready to go, but you're not going to be in Italy this year.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I was there, post-COVID, I was sitting in a commentary booth talking to radio stations across various places, and this time I'm going to be actually having online access. I'll be able to watch what's happening, but in the comfort of my own settee.
Right, but I would imagine, knowing you, there's going to be a lavish Eurovision party in your house this year.
Is 6 lavish?
6, okay. Well, why not, yeah.
And the local butcher does a great lasagna, so I'm already prepared. Has to be themed.
Excellent. Let's talk about this year's final then. First of all, 25 years since the UK had a winning song with Katrina and the Waves, Love Shine a Light. Sam Ryder this year is the bookies' favourite. Do you think he's going to do it? There's
a mixture. Not that politics has ever taken part in Eurovision before, but this time because of the Ukrainian situation. Mm-hmm. First of all, the Russians aren't allowed in.
Yeah.
And the public vote may sway, their emotions may well go for not the best song, but the song that has all the sympathy votes, and that's going to be Ukraine.
Exactly, okay. So tell us about the Ukrainian song, because I believe it wasn't their first choice or something. What's the story behind it?
Well, the contest or national final was held just before the incident I've mentioned before.
Yeah.
And the winner had been to Crimea. This has happened before, so they decided to disqualify the winner. The second placed one had also been Crimea. That was disqualified, so it's the third place song.
Right.
And it's a band singing about their mother.
Right, okay. That's going to pull on the heartstrings. That might be the one that does it, I think.
Well, don't forget, the vote split into two.
Yeah.
You have the experts. Now, the experts technically are supposed to vote on the quality of the song.
Okay.
And the public are going to vote on what they like or what those emotions are. So, to me, it should really be that the public vote rates them fairly highly, but the jury vote puts them in a place that's more middle. So, I think that I would like them to win for the wrong reasons.
Right, exactly. Yes, of course. Now, tell me about the salad song that's in it this year as well.
There's a group from Latvia, and first of all, it looks funny. It's a very happy-go-lucky. It's a group almost like a parody group, a bit like Club Sound in some ways.
Yes.
In the nicest way.
Yes.
And the song is called Eat Your Salad.
Right.
And it's all to do with looking after the world, not making the ozone layer any worse. And I've met the guys, and they are really charming, but you get them then off camera or microphone, and they've got a really serious head on their shoulders. So it's one of the many interesting songs. Okay,
what about the Italian song this year? Because we know last year's winners have really taken off, especially in America, haven't they?
Yeah, Måneskin, who won last year with the Zita I Buoni, or some variation of that, it just took off. It was so different. You don't break the American chart very easily, and they have done so, and they've released a very popular album. And they seem to be really nice guys. But that's still the exception for Eurovision. It's a long time since the most popular song being Brotherhood of Man. And
Save All Your Kisses for Me.
Yes, that was not one of my favourite songs, but it was a song that was the biggest worldwide seller.
Exactly. Talking about them, here's an exclusive. They're on the show next week.
All right. I'm here the wrong week.
You're here the wrong week. They're on next week. So, so let's talk about winners then. Obviously, it's 25 years since Katrina and the Waves won for the UK. 30 years since Linda Martin won for Ireland with Why Me?
Linda. If you're watching Linda, then I love you dearly. I may be intimidated by you sometimes, but I love you dearly. She is such a lovely lady. She's part of the Ireland hasn't lost that feeling for the big performers, the Paul Harrington, Charlie McGettigan, Niamh Kavanagh.
Dana?
Yeah. They're all still in the hearts and performing. I think every year they do a special.
Exactly. So what's your memories then of 1992?
It was an interesting contest. There were 2 or 3 songs. People out there probably really won't know, but there was a Maltese song that was one of my favourites of all time. But Johnny did it right. He really, I remember him joining the backing singers whenever the reprise was happening, and it was the right song at the right time. Linda looked magnificent.
She did, didn't she? Yeah.
And I still, the song gives me goosebumps.
Me too, actually. Now, am I right in thinking she was up against Michael Ball that year, who was for the UK?
Who said he'd rather have pins stuck in his eyes than do it again?
I liked his song, One Step at a Time.
Yeah, but there were other songs. He was the only performer in the national final that year, and I think almost any other songs were released and were quite successful for him, but it was the punching in the air. I just don't think it was quite him. He's more doing the hairspray stuff.
He is, actually, yeah. There hasn't been air punching since, I don't think, has there?
No, I'll think about that one.
I'll think about that one, yeah. What about the Irish entry then for this year? Brooke Scullion.
Brooke, a girl from Derryahy. She's put it on the map, and she's written the song herself. She's very enthusiastic. I hate to say it, but there are so many good songs in the contest that I fear she might just miss out on being in the final. Ireland haven't been very successful for some years. I think a couple of times in the last maybe dozen years.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Am I right in thinking this year it seems to be going towards a younger audience? Probably because Sam and his TikTok thing, but TikTok seems to be taking over Eurovision now this year.
Yeah, usually YouTube will show rehearsal videos during that first week before they get into the live shows. This time TikTok have taken over. TikTok have got the rights to show 90-second clips which will be deleted within, I believe, a few days. And I don't know about you, but I haven't really got a handle on TikTok.
I don't like it. I can't get used to it now.
Watching things on my phone in the wrong shape and everything else.
Yeah.
So the contest is changing. I think they're trying to get the younger demographic and people like me that are
the dinosaurs of Eurovision.
I'm trying to put it kindly, but thank you for that. We are almost the also-rans, though we know more about the contest. The young people, my first contest was to watch it was 2015 maybe.
Yes, yeah.
They've lost the magic. Black and white doesn't mean anything to them.
Yes, yeah. What's your earliest memory of Eurovision then?
My earliest memories of trying unsuccessfully to listen to the 1970 contest. School trip in Austria, trying to find it everywhere on the radio, and I had to come home to find out that Dana had won.
Wow, yeah.
And it's all changed. I mean, it started off with the Dickie Bows,
yes,
the formal crowds, the formal audiences, and now it's got round to the fans, and that's why I'm sad the fact that almost turning their back on the fans. They want this to be a serious business.
Yes.
A money-making business too, unfortunately.
Of course, yeah. So what's your memories then of 1997 with Katrina and the Waves?
Sitting in the audience, and whenever you're the song that you know is going to win, you're halfway through, you can tell it's going to happen. It must be
we all knew, didn't we? We all knew that was the song that was going to do it that year.
It's not very nice for the people who were the also-rans or the second or third placing ones, but for us, it was magic. It was beautifully staged in the point, as was the original point, and whenever a song's performed live and there's a big orchestra beside it, the trumpets and the brass, it made the song. But it was a song written originally for the Samaritans, but not used by Kimberly Rue, member of the group. And it was the right song at the right time, and that's what the magic is. It's not repeating what last year's song was like. It's finding what grabs people's attention, what is different.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that's what Sam Ryder has this year. The song is different. Where do you think it's going to come?
Top 3.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, okay.
But the danger will be that the jury vote will come in, as has happened before with Lucy Jones when she was performing. She got, I think, maybe 7th place in the jury vote, and then the public just weren't going to engage, and it got 15th.
Yes,
that's the last probably significant placing that we've had. But Sam is different. He has been touring Europe. He has been in every place you can imagine, and he's loved by 10 million TikTok. We're back to TikTok viewers, and it's a great song.
It really is. All right. Okay. Well, good luck to Sam, and good luck to you at home on Eurovision night for the first time in years.
Indeed. I'll do my best. I've got a permanent hanky beside me now.
Brilliant, Robin. As always, it's good to talk to you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you. From Eurovision to cosmetic surgery, and here's what happened when I caught up with Dr. Nina Bal during the week. About 55% of us are open to getting some form of cosmetic surgery, but despite this, 61% think there is a stigma and negative social perception about those who choose to undergo cosmetic or aesthetic treatments. And more than 6 million of us would like to get some form of cosmetic surgery, but do not know who to trust to perform the procedure, while 4.7 million know someone who has had a cosmetic procedure that has gone wrong. And that's according to research for Beauty Uncovered Live. However, of those who are open to having a cosmetic procedure, 32% say the cost would be the biggest factor to consider, and actually only 15% say it's the establishment. To talk more about this, we've been joined on the line by Dr. Nina Bal. Nina, how are you?
I am really well. Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So let's talk about this latest research then, because we've discovered that over 55% of people would consider getting some form of cosmetic surgery.
Yes, absolutely. Even in my daily practice, especially after the pandemic, I've seen a huge increase on people really wanting to do something about their faces and open to have some treatments. But I think the main problem is that what we found also with the research is that people don't know where to go. They don't know who to trust. And I think that's the main issue.
So why do you think we've become so open to getting this work done then?
A huge reason is actually all the Zoom calls and video calls during the pandemic, because what that means is that for the first time we were actually looking at ourselves while talking, whether in normal life that doesn't really happen. So people were faced with really their faces there, and they were made aware of, let's say, any signs of aging that they were not happy with, or even some facial asymmetries that they might have had all their lives and never been aware.
So as you mentioned there, it is important choosing the right person to do the work, because so many of us actually know somebody who's had cosmetic surgery that's gone wrong, haven't we?
Absolutely. Those treatments, even non-surgical aesthetic treatments that may look easy on social media, actually they carry potential huge risks and complications. So it's essential to go to someone qualified, do your research. And that was one of the main reasons why we decided to host the Beauty Uncovered live show on 7th and 8th of May in London, because we really want to empower the general public to bring good practice to consumers and give them a chance to really speak to us, speak to clinicians, look at live demos, find out about procedure and what they have to look to find a good practitioner.
So what are the most common procedures then?
So non-surgically, I would say huge rise of any sort of injectable. So anything from anti-wrinkle, commonly known as Botox, to derma fillers, to skin boosters, skincare, really a lot of, non-surgical treatment to fight signs of aging.
Now, we're discovering as well from the research, there still is a bit of a taboo around cosmetic surgery, isn't there?
I think there is, although when I started over 10 years ago, it was much worse. I'm really noticing a shift. And I believe it's because a lot of celebrities and influencers, they really have been more open recently about what they have done. It's getting so popular. So I think there still is a taboo. However, I am really seeing a change.
We're finding as well nowadays that men are also interested in getting some work done too.
Yes, they are. I've got lots of male clients either sent by their wives, and they just come and say, I don't know why I'm here, my wife sent me, or really genuinely coming because they're like, actually, I'm so fed up to see these eye bags on Zoom, and I really want to do something about it. So yes, absolutely more men.
Well, I will admit to having some Botox done a while back, and I could probably do with some more, but is there any other cosmetic procedures that you could recommend for me then?
For you, no. It's, to be honest, I like lines in men. I don't like men, I think men need to be men. So few lines, I would never recommend, too much. So no, I think it's perfect. Just SPF, so you prevent skin from further aging as much as possible. Yes, but no other treatments.
Now, I've discovered with some people, once they've had some work done, it kind of becomes a bit of an obsession. They keep going back for more and more. Do you find that's common these days?
I do, and that's why I've got a very thorough and strict protocol in place. So even before you come to see me, even before you speak to me in my room in the clinic, you have to fill around 4 to 5 questionnaires, which will screen your medical health history, body dysmorphia, anxiety questionnaire, depression. So I have a very good idea of what your physical and mental state is. And I would never treat, and I say no many times, to people that want to do too much when it's not safe, or if they seek treatments for the wrong reasons.
Now, when you mention selfies, of course, there are filters on your iPhone, there's filters on Instagram, but they're not real, are they?
Exactly. And I think it's so important, and I have this conversation a lot with my clients. You cannot do any treatments to make your skin look like a filter. So, and I think it's all about educating and really screening people, because people that come with that kind of expectation, I'm very strict and I say no. So, because they will just be unhappy and they're not treating, it wouldn't be ethical from my end.
So if somebody is thinking about getting some work done then, what's the first piece of advice you would give them?
I would say make sure that that person is a qualified doctor, dentist, or nurse prescriber, first of all. Then I would say go and check how long they've been doing injectable for. Then check the before and after photos, because every injector has a style. So the before and after has to match your ideal beauty as well. Reviews online as well, great idea as well. And also there's a register called Save Face, which is a national register of accredited practitioners where you can go and we are very thoroughly assessed. And also come and see us, get tickets for beautyuncovered.com event and come and speak to us.
Okay, tell us a bit more about Beauty Uncovered then. What can we expect from this event?
So it's really exciting because it's the very first UK event open to consumer, to public. It really is an aesthetic wonderland. You will find everything that you're looking for, from being able to speaking to clinicians like myself, to having consultations, to watching live demos, to finding out about new treatments and procedure. So we're really bringing a good practice to consumer. So any questions you may have about the world of aesthetic surgery and non-surgical as well will be there.
So that's taking place on the 7th and 8th of May in London. If people want some more information, give us the website details.
7th and 8th of May in London. Please go on beautyuncovered.com to buy the tickets, and on Instagram at beautyuncovereduk to find all the info about the event.
Brilliant. Well, Nina, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Have a good day.
Right, let's have some live music in the studio. It's so good to have live performers back here on NVTV. And singer-songwriter Sarah McQuaid is currently on tour throughout the whole of Ireland. It's great to see her here in Belfast today, and here she is performing live.
When I was a little girl, tucked in my bed at night, I'd have the door cracked open and I'd watch that thread of light. I'd listen to my mother as she played her old guitar. I'd say, do Froggy when a courtin' for the next one. She'd say, all right, but now this has to be the last song. Are you still awake? Go to sleep, child. The sun is down, you're safe and sound. The Sandman's on his way. Honey, close your eyes. Time to be quiet now. Till you wake up in the morning and start another day. Well, years have passed and now I'm trying to learn some sweet old tune. In the hall I've got the light on so it shines into your room. You're talking to your teddy bears and playing with your dolls. You should have been asleep an hour ago. I'm thinking, is it my mother's voice or mine that I hear asking? Are you still awake? Go to sleep, child. The sun is down, you're safe and sound. The Sandman's on his way. Honey, close your eyes. Time to be quiet now. Till you wake up in the morning and start another day. Left this world too soon to ever know you. She never got to see your little face. And I wish with all my heart that she'd lived long enough to hold you, long enough to kiss your cheek and stroke your head and say, are you still awake? Go to sleep, child. The sun is down, you're safe and sound. The Sandman's on his way. Honey, close your eyes. Time to be quiet now. Till you wake up in the morning and start another day. Another day. Froggy went a-courtin' and he did right. Buggy went a-courtin' and he did ride, sword and pistol by his side.
So there we go, great song called Last Song from Sarah McQuaid, who's currently on tour all over the place, but she's here in Belfast in the studio right now, and she joins us. Sarah, how are you?
I'm very well, Robin, thank you.
It's great to see you and see you in person at last as well, because we Zoomed the last time.
We did, and I had to see you on a little screen, and it's so nice to see you in the flesh.
Exactly, and it's nice to see you back in Belfast, but of course you've been here many times before, haven't you?
I have indeed, yeah. I think this will be my third time playing at the Cathedral Quarter Arts Festival, and I've played up the road at the Arts Centre a good few times before as well, so it's really lovely to be back.
And this time, and I've been watching you on social media, you've done a tour of nearly the whole of Ireland, and the great thing is, usually when singers come in, they say, we never get time to see any of the countryside or any of the sights, but you seem to have been photographing yourself all over the place.
Yeah, no, I have friends who live in beautiful places, and I got to go and visit some of them on nights off, and that was really nice.
Wow, now talking about beautiful places, the last time we spoke, you had recorded this fabulous album and all these great videos in this lovely old church in Cornwall, hadn't you?
Yeah, that's right. It was recorded live in lockdown. It's called the St. Burian Sessions, and we recorded it in a beautiful church just up the road from where I live in West Cornwall. And we filmed the whole thing as well. I was lucky enough I did a crowdfunder so that I could have a camera crew in filming the entire album as it was being recorded live, and the whole thing is up on YouTube.
Wow, now obviously from your accent, you're not from Cornwall.
No. No, I was born in Spain, which is where my father was from, and I grew up in America, in Chicago, which is where my mother was from, and then I moved over to Ireland, which is where my husband is from and where my children were born, and then we moved, I guess it must be 14, 15 years ago now, to Cornwall in the far southwest of England.
That's such a lovely part of the world, isn't it?
Beautiful part of the world.
Yeah. So you must get lots of inspiration for writing and stuff down there.
Yeah, absolutely. A bunch of the songs on my last album, but one, and some of which are actually on the St. Burian Sessions as well, were inspired directly by the place.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about the song we just heard, Last Song. What's the story behind that one?
The story behind that one is that when I was little, I used to lie in bed. My mother would play her guitar in the next room, and I'd call out requests, and she'd say, "Are you still awake?" And I'd kind of forgotten all about that. And then I was trying to get my kids to sleep by sitting outside their room and playing guitar and singing, and they were making a lot of noise. And I said, "Are you still awake?" And I think it probably happens to all of us at some point in our lives that you open your mouth and out of it comes the voice of your mother or the father, as the case may be. But I heard my mother's voice coming out of my mouth, and I just thought, oh man, I have to write a song about that. And I recorded that song many years ago on my second album, way back in 2008. And when we decided to make the live album, the St. Burian Sessions, I decided that's always been a really special song for me. And so I decided it was due for a revisit. And so I recorded it live for that one.
So was music always part of your life right from a very young age?
Right from a very, very young age. I think I was about 3 when my mother started teaching me to play the piano. And then I started playing guitar basically as soon as I was big enough to hold a guitar. and I was singing in the Chicago Children's Choir, which was a wonderful, very pro touring choir. And we used to do tours all around the USA and even up into Canada. So that was a nice early introduction to touring and kind of just kind of professionalism, working at the music. And also did a lot of music for fun, because pretty much everybody in my family, you know, sort of played guitar, and most of them played piano too. And so music was generally a big part of just any kind of family gathering, you know.
Oh, brilliant. Now, talking about guitars, you've got a special guitar on tour with you, haven't you, that was custom made for you?
Yeah, beautiful. I've got two guitars with me. I've got an acoustic, which you heard me playing just there, and an electric as well. And the acoustic was made by a wonderful luthier called Andy Manson. And he just did it's a work of art, that guitar, and I feel so privileged to be able to play it. And then I've also got a very special electric guitar with me, which was, well, it was initially loaned to me by the great Michael Chapman when he was producing my previous album, If We Dig Any Deeper, It Could Get Dangerous. And he said, I'm going to loan you my Ibanez Artist because I want you to write some new songs on electric guitar. And sadly, Michael left us, and that guitar, his lovely wife Andrew is kindly allowing me to keep it, which is really, really lovely of her, and it's just a beautiful instrument to be able to play, and I always think of Michael when I play it.
Oh, lovely, lovely. You've been really busy recently. You were involved in a thing called Around the World in 80 Plays as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was really honoured to be invited by the Bert Jansch Foundation to be part of this project where they were sending a guitar. It wasn't Bert Jansch's actual guitar, it was a guitar just like the one that Bert Jansch played. But because it wasn't Bert Jansch's actual guitar, they were sending it around the world to different guitarists, and it was being signed by all the different guitarists.
Right.
So it arrived at my house, you know, delivered by courier. And I took this guitar out of its case, and there's Richard Thompson's signature on it, and Dara Lynch, and all kinds of, Colin Harper's signature was on it, who we're staying with here in Belfast. And all these wonderful guitarists had played this guitar. And I made a video, which is also on YouTube. It's on the Bert Jansch Foundation's YouTube channel and on their website as well, where I'm playing a song and singing it and talking about Bert Jansch's influence on my music. So it was just a real honour.
So what's next then when you finish the Northern Ireland dates? Is there more touring in England then?
There is indeed. Scotland actually is the first step. I'm going to get the Belfast to Cairnryan ferry, and I've got a week of gigs in Scotland, both, you know, places like Stirling and Dunoon in Argyll, and then over in Aberdeen, and I forget where else. Bunch of places around Scotland. Grantown-on-Spey. A bunch of places in Scotland. And then we go down back into England again, and pretty much the length and breadth of England. And the tour finishes at the very end of May. I think I get home on the 31st of May.
And then what happens? Is going to be a long rest then? You're going to take a holiday?
Not a tremendously long rest, because I've got some more gigs in June and festivals, and a bunch of festivals over the summer, and the gigging continues. But you know what? I've had a long enough holiday from gigging, quite frankly.
Exactly.
With the whole COVID thing,
Yeah.
I'm really, really happy to be back on the road again and back on tour and back out playing live in rooms with other human beings and not on a screen. It's really nice. It is so nice.
Exactly. Well, it's great to see you not on a screen today. Great to see you here in the studio. You're going to do one more. You're going to do something a cappella for us, aren't you?
I am, yeah. I mean, I always like to keep everything really varied when I'm performing live. So I play acoustic and electric guitars and piano, or a keyboard if there isn't a piano. And I've got a floor tom drum as well, which I play on one of the tracks. But I think it's nice to do an a cappella song and just you know, really feel the atmosphere of the space I'm in. And this studio here has a really nice atmosphere. So I'm going to do the a cappella song Sweetness and Pain.
Brilliant. We look forward to that. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks a million, Robin. Lovely chatting to you again.
Lovely chatting to you too. Well, let's hear the track Sweetness and Pain live on NVTV. Here is Sarah McQuaid.
The sweetness of the berry doesn't take away the pain of the briar when it stabs you in the hand, but the power of your craving for the fruit among the thorns is driving you to risk another chance. Sweetness and pain, summer sun and autumn rain. The bramble does not seek to harm, it merely seeks to live. It injures without malice or intention. There's no question of forgiveness, no apology, no pardon for minor wounds too numerous to mention. Sweetness and pain, winter winds return again. Sharp black thorns concealed and smoothed by softly falling snow. Drops of blood like bright red flowers, this hurt will pass, just let it go. Sweetness and pain, shake it off and start again.
Right, let's find out about a brand new photo exhibition which is currently running at the John Hewitt Bar here in Belfast, and it runs right through until the 30th of May. It's called The Beatles Bungalow, from award-winning photographer Michael Donald, and here's what happened when I spoke to Michael earlier this week. Okay, let's find out about a brand new photo exhibition which comes to the John Hewitt Bar here in Belfast. It runs through until the 30th of May. It's called The Beatles Bungalow. To find out more, we've been joined on the line by award-winning photographer Michael Donald. Michael, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you for joining us. So, starting us off, for people who don't know, what exactly was the Beatles Bungalow?
The Beatles Bungalow was an actual building. It was a bungalow in an ashram in Rishikesh, the foothills of the Himalayas in northern India, where the Beatles, all four members of the band, took themselves off in 1968 to escape the trappings of fame in sort of America and England. They'd sort of had enough, and they wanted to learn. Well, they went to learn transcendental meditation, which they did. So
you went out there. How did you end up going to India then to do these photographs?
My daughter, who was 18 then, this was 2020, she wanted to learn, she wanted to do a yoga course, and the yoga course she wanted to do was in Rishikesh. So I thought I'd take her out there, settle her in, and then I'd come home. I knew the Beatles had been to India, but I didn't know that it was actually in Rishikesh. So whenever I discovered it was there, I thought, right, I'll definitely go.
Now, you managed to get some fabulous photographs, but obviously the bungalow doesn't look like it did back then. It could do with a couple of regeneration grants, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it could do, but I hope that doesn't happen. It for the simple reason, what you would be doing is the ashram, it's leased around out in 1983, and they basically just closed the gates and put a padlock on it, and nothing happened to it ever since. Recently, they've opened it in theory as a museum, but all that means is they've taken the padlock off the front door and put a few signs up. But what that does mean for me as a photographer is that whenever you sit in the bungalow and you look around, all that's happened, it looks exactly the same. It's just decayed. It's very much the same building. It's the same paint on the walls. It's the same. It's the same. Whereas if personally, I wouldn't want it. I think somebody will do something with it, but I'd rather they didn't. I mean, I'm glad I got the opportunity to record it the way it looks now.
Exactly. So to do that, you must have been a big Beatles fan then.
Well, I too weirdly, and I was thinking about this earlier. I don't know why. I mean, I'm 55. Whenever I was at school in Belfast, my mates were listening to sort of Culture Club and Spandau Ballet, and I was listening to the Beatles and Bob Dylan. So yeah, I had been a big Beatles fan.
Now, as well as the Beatles, you've got a good relationship with the Rolling Stones as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I'd been commissioned to do that for the Stones were making a film about Stones and about the making of Exile on Main Street, and I was commissioned to do the portraits of the band for that. And then off the back of that, the picture of Charlie ended up in the National Portrait Gallery, and then he wanted one, and then I did an exhibition with Ronnie in Mayfair a couple of years later. So that was great, because I was a big Stones fan and a big Beatles fan, which back in the day wasn't allowed, but I think it's allowed these days.
And when it comes to music legends as well, you also shot the cover for a Leonard Cohen book as well.
That was his last book of poetry. He actually died before it was published. He had come down from he'd been at a Buddhist monastery in California in Mount Baldy, and he'd come down off the mountain and realized that his accountant had stolen all his money, and he just came down to have a quiet life, and then he realized he had to do something to make some money. So he did various art exhibitions, and then he did publish books, and then he went back on the road and actually made a fortune again.
So you've shot all these amazing people. Is there anybody in the world you would still really love to take a photograph of?
I would really like to have shot David Bowie. And obviously that's not going to happen. Of people living now, and I would really like to have shot Amy Winehouse. Yeah. There's not sort of fame has changed. Fame, people are famous now for being famous. Whereas I think back in the day, and I don't think this is being sentimental. I think people were famous because fame was a byproduct of doing something amazing. Whereas now fame seems to be an entity in itself. So there's, off the top of my head, no. Yeah, I would love to have photographed those two, but obviously that's not going to happen now. So
yeah, now here in Belfast as well, you've done Van Morrison too, haven't you?
Yes, I shot Van Morrison. That was for when Belfast City Hall was 100 years old. They commissioned me to do an exhibition that was in the City Hall of sort of the great and good of Belfast, obviously, which included Van Morrison.
Brilliant. Okay, so for anybody watching this, is probably thinking you've got the greatest job in the world.
Well, it's very. In theory, it looks great. It's the industry has changed beyond recognition in the last sort of 15 years. The way I started, I just don't think you could do it now. And also, everybody thinks they're a photographer now. Yes, I'm very grateful for the career I've had, and I've had an amazing career, and hopefully it'll continue. But yes, it's been interesting.
Yeah, and as well as the photography, you also directed the acclaimed film Blitzed for Sky Arts, didn't you?
Well, I tell you what, that I was really lucky that landed in my lap, because because most of the work I do is portrait photography, and obviously during COVID, people just didn't want me. Well, one, they weren't getting into the office, and they didn't want a stranger in their house. Or me with a team of people or whatever. So I was one of the last people to go back to work. So I shot and directed that film, and that we started shooting the day the first lockdown finished. So that took me through the whole of that year. And all I did that year was make that film, which was great, because the stills, like I said, it's been tough for everybody. I really appreciate, it's been really tough for some people. But that took me through the whole of that year, and I absolutely love doing it. It's funny, whenever they called me and asked me to do it, I said, I hope you don't mind, that because the Blitz film is about basically, Spandau Ballet, Boy George, that whole group of people and how they evolved at that time in London. And they asked me would I make the film for them, and I was like, yeah, that's fine, so long as you don't mind. That while all that was happening, I was listening to the Beatles and Bob Dylan, and they were like, no, it's fine,
Brilliant. Well, in the meantime, they can catch the Beatles Bungalow, the exhibition at the John Hewitt Bar, right through until the 30th of May, and it's well worth a look. And when you look at some of the photographs, did you get a special feeling when you were there doing those shots?
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely! It absolutely made the hair stand up in the back of your neck. Just to be in those rooms, and like I say, if you look at the photographs, and that's not because I'm saying I'm a great photographer. If you look at the photographs, these are where some of these like definitive songs were written, and nothing, you know, nothing's changed about this building other than it's grown very old. So it's very difficult not to feel something. And it's, you know, it's very, like I said, I mean, I spent 2.5 days there and I didn't see another person. Technically, it's open to the public. I didn't see anyone.
Yeah, yeah. Am I right in thinking, was it the White Album they were writing when they were there?
They wrote most of the White Album and they wrote a bit of Let It Be. And George Harrison had, before he went there, he'd been in Bombay and he recorded some songs there. So yeah, I mean, it's weird the way the Beatles ended their career, because Abbey Road and Let It Be, the way they wrote and recorded stuff was not the chronological order in which they released it. So it's all a bit hippity hoppity towards the end. I mean, it sort of works. I mean, it works fine, but it's sort of normally what people do is they write an album, release it, and then they write an album and release it. Whereas with that, they just had a pile of songs and they released the last 3 albums in a sort of a hippity hoppity way. But you know, it worked. So there was bits of most of the White Album and bits of Let It Be.
Have you watched Peter Jackson's Get Back?
The interesting thing about the documentary is people think that the end of the Beatles was very acrimonious and it involved Yoko Ono basically broke up the Beatles, and you know there was bickering and fighting. And you watch this documentary, and it's just not true. I mean, you can see them playing their last gig on the roof of the Apple Building in Savile Row, and the 4 of them are clearly really enjoying themselves and having a laugh together. It's I think it's an amazing film.
Brilliant. Well, Michael, it's been great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much for your time.
Now, my next guests are celebrating 20 years in the music business. They've got a couple of big gigs coming up at the Grand Opera House. We're talking about the leading ladies, and I'm pleased to say Michelle and Ciara joins us in the studio. Hello!
Hello, it's lovely to see you.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
I know.
I think it was way before COVID even the last time, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, around Christmas time.
It was. We got all nice and festive, and you performed a Christmas tune and all, didn't you? Yeah. Anyway, so tell us about this big gig you have coming up at the Grand Opera House then.
Yeah, 20 years, can you believe? We first got together as a group in 2002. Gosh, it feels like a lifetime ago now. So yes, 20 years of singing together as a trio.
Wow, yeah. So how's the 20 years been? I mean, you must have had your moments over the years when you haven't got on.
What could possibly go wrong?
Well, something must have, because there's one missing today, isn't there? Where is she?
She's away sunning herself up in Donegal and the beach is up there. So she's, Lynn, where are you? Well, she's usually late anyway. She could still arrive. No, it is incredible, you know, to be together after 20 years.
And still smiling after 20 years as well.
Still smiling. A few more greys, but thank goodness for the hairdressers. But no, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah.
It really has.
Now, if I remember correctly, wasn't it Peter Corrie that got you all together?
Exactly. So Peter was doing a fantastic concert in what was then the Odyssey. And it was Some Enchanted Evening, yes, it was called, wasn't it? And he had all these wonderful West End stars, and he knew us from sort of way back, you know, along the circuit, and he said, would you do backing vocals for us? And we were like, yeah, great. So there we were, the 3 of us together, flung together, and we just kind of went, that was really good, and our voices blended, and at that point there weren't any female groups, any female harmony groups or anything like that. So we decided we'd give it a go, and here we are.
So you must have had plenty of highlights then over 20 years. You've played some fabulous venues, and I see some lovely comments on your publicity from people like Chris de Burgh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was for our online concert in the Ardouin that we did last year. Yes, do you know, it's only when we sat down and actually really thought of all the places that we have performed, we were quite surprised. You know, we'd forgotten some of them. We did, there was a big Opera in the Gardens event that Belfast City Council put on years ago. We've been flown across to perform at awards events in the NEC Birmingham, the Royal Horse Guards Hotel in London. We were flown to do stuff in Torquay. There's been a lot. So we should feel proud of ourselves, actually.
You've got kids and a full-time job. Are you still doing the teaching and stuff then?
No, Lynn's the singing teacher, so she is. So I'm an allied health professions consultant at the Public Health Agency
right,
now.
Okay,
so
yes.
I joined there in the middle of a pandemic, which is a really good place to go, to the Public Health Agency in a pandemic. But it's a great job, and it's something I'm really passionate about, making things better for the health and well-being of people in Northern Ireland. But as you say, Michelle's a massive job. She's marketing director. Have I got your title right?
Marketing for the Ulster Orchestra.
That's a pretty big gig, isn't
It
it?
is. It is, and corporate fundraising now as well.
Yeah.
So it's quite it keeps
So
me busy.
We're really busy. We're really busy, as you say. We were all quite late, really, to have our children. We're very lucky and blessed to have them, and I think we've shared a lot of personal journeys and pathways along that time, and we're really, the friendship is genuine.
Yes, yeah.
And it's real, and we've supported each other at different times, in different, as everybody has different crises along the way, and I think that's why we're still here.
Brilliant. We mentioned the Ulster Orchestra there as well, and they go on this amazing journey. They seem to kind of reinvent themselves all the time, don't they? Come up with new ideas and new stuff, don't they?
Yeah, well, we've had to. The pandemic actually really, it gave the senior management team the breathing space. Well, some breathing space. I've never worked as hard in my life from home during that period. But I think now we're in a new era, and the digital era, as they say, and we want to change the public perception of the orchestra. We want to collaborate more. We want to do more innovative, exciting and creative things, and really work more closely with different players in the orchestra too, who come up with some fantastic ideas.
I love the way they've been supporting local acts and
Yes.
local singer-songwriters as well, and collaborating with them, because they've come up with some amazing stuff, haven't they?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we get approached, as you imagine, all the time. But yes, we did a project during lockdown called Your Song Now, and that was 9 local singer-songwriters who we arranged their song and performed it with them, and did a recording and produced an album at the end of it.
Great stuff. Let's come back to the Leading Ladies gig in the Grand Opera House. What can we expect from this night then?
Everything. That's one of the other reasons I think why we've lasted so long. Well, there's 2 reasons. One is that we're very much an equal team. No decision or nothing is done unless all 3 of us are on board 100%. So I think that's really helped immensely. And we're very versatile. Our music that we perform is so broad, from classical crossover to musicals, country, Celtic, vintage swing. We do chart hits, and we actually create all our own harmonies ourselves. They're not written, we make them up ourselves, write them ourselves. So we're doing some old stuff that are very special to us, and some new stuff as well.
And we have the wonderful Wilfie Piper, who's helping to produce and direct this very really special concerts for us. And he kept trying to keep us sort of reined in, saying, no, don't get too nostalgic. I know you love that, but you've got to think about your audience as well, because there'll be people there who've supported us across the years, but we're hoping there might be some new audience members there, and you're trying to get that balance of things. But one of the things I'm particularly excited about this concert, obviously COVID has been a really hard time for everybody, particularly in the performance industry, but there's been a real culture, I think, in the last maybe 6 years of backing tracks. So people would be booking us, but they'd be booking us with our backing tracks. But we have a wonderful live band who have been with us the whole 20 years as well. Same band, which is just as well, because one of them's my husband, so I haven't lost him. But we can't wait, because we're getting the band back together again. And that live music, there's just something about that connection. So that's one of the things I'm really so excited about, and getting everybody on the road again.
And of course, back in our #1 theatre as well.
I know, it's lovely, and we're almost sold out. I think we may well be
On
sold out.
Saturday's sold out, and I think
Well then, yeah.
there's
Friday
only a
there was
few,
about
isn't there?
5 seats left.
What's happening? Thank you.
Thank you for thinking. We might have to do another show.
There you go. So it's the beginning of June, isn't it?
It is the 3rd and 4th of June.
All right. Well, the very best of luck with the shows.
Thank you so much.
And will you be sitting here when we do the 40th anniversary then, do you reckon?
We'll be coming in on our Zimmers.
Let's hope so. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you.
So that's all we have time for on The Big Show this week. A big thank you to all of my guests, and to play us out some brand new music from a new band from Manchester. They're called Paristan, and here's their new single. This is called Animal. See you next week. Bye-bye.